Hello, good evening, everyone. So today we are going to discuss our first topic before we go to the play itself. So we're going to discuss the classical drama and specifically about the Greek drama. So we will start with the origin of drama, which was developed by the ancient Greeks during a celebration honoring one of their gods called Dionysius. So Dionysius is the god of wine, which produces grapes for wine. And wine itself is associated with resurrection and suffering. And with the inclusion of many choral songs within the drama, so the early Greek plays resembled what we call opera today. So there are a lot of singing, lots of movement, dancing. So that's why it is more like an opera today. So let's now look at the festival itself. So what is this about the festival of Dionysius? And this festival happened in Athens over the course of 5 days in March or April. So during after the winter, so it's everything is blooming and the weather is okay, fine. So it is a perfect time for doing some festival. And in the first day, the Greeks held a procession honoring Dionysius in which all the citizens participated. And here, in the second one, the choral songs were performed. And on the last 3 days, out of the 5 days, the actors performed three tragedies, one satire, which is a mock heroic tragedies, and one comedy. So there are total five uh, during the last 3 days of the festival. So it is only in the last 3 days that we have this kind of like drama performance. So this is the outline or the layout of the Greek theater. So that's why when I said that it has to be performed during good weather, well, there's a reason because it is in open air. The Greek theater was similar to an outdoor stadium that could hold between 15 to 20,000 people. So you can imagine how noisy it is, how loud it is when there's a performance. But the layout creates this sort of like way for the audio to travel. So even though you're far, but because the layout is made in such a way, so you can still hear the voice of the actors. And uh, you should remember that there's no microphone or any audio system at that time, so they literally use their own voice, and they have to be heard by the audience that is sitting on the very top. So it's a quite uh, challenging for actors to be performed in front of many people without any help in terms of audio. And if you look at this, the right illustration, you can see that there are terms used to refer to the parts of the stadium or the theater. So there's skin is the stage itself, and then orchestra, that round part in the middle is where usually the choral came in. The choral usually consists of more than 5 people who sang. They usually sang songs about the plot itself. So when you want to forward the plot, because let's say 3 days after or 1 year later, so those stories were cramped by the song and sung by this choral, and they usually um, are in the middle, yeah, in the in orchestra part. And then there's a parados on the left, on the and right. That is the entrance and exits, and the theatron itself is the where the audience were sitting. So let's look a bit more closer to the festival of Dionysius. So there's this one person called the archon or the state official who selected three poets. Poets are those who wrote script and direct and also maybe play in the play to compete for the prizes in the tragedy division. And then another person called the choragus is a wealthy, prominent citizen of Athens. He was required by law to pay for the cost of training on costumes for the chorus. Well, today maybe we have to generate money if you want to perform selling ticket, but at the time the tickets are free. There's no ticket selling, so everything related to the performance has to be provided by this choragus. And then there are 10 citizens who will act like a jury to decide which poet wins in the festival. So this is a competition, early competition in writing and also acting drama. And the playwright serves as a sort of a teacher, offering plays for the ethical and moral improvement of his fellow citizens to ensure the spiritual survival of the community. So usually if it is a tragedy, the story has moral lesson, but if it is a comedy, it's usually just for fun. So this playwright or the poet has to serve something with a moral lesson in his tragedy. So we will look again at some of the terminologies that you should know on Greek theater itself. We have theatron, that is the area, the sitting area, and then the orchestra is that round, large area in front of the stage where the chorus or the group of people singing and dance. And then themel, it is the altar centered in the orchestra used for sacrifices to Dionysius. So probably themel is one of the uh, terminology or place that has nothing to do with the drama itself, but this is just for the altar for the god. And then paradox is the walkway, exit and entrance to the stage. And then we have proscenium, is a long, low stage behind the orchestra. And then skin is the building that contains the actor's dressing room, or maybe today we have the backstage. So this is some of the illustration of the Greek theater that you can still see it today. So if you go to Athens or to Greece, then you will see how big it is, and the way they are being laid out create this tunnel of audio tunnel so that it can the actors can speak loudly and can still be heard. So this is how it looks like with a very nice view of mountains. You can sit and relax, enjoy the performance, you can eat. So it's pretty much like in Indonesia, maybe if you have been in a wayang performance where you can sit and talk and sleep even if you want to. Then it also happened during the Greek time when theater is not like a theater that we have today where we have to sit silently, quietly, we cannot eat, but it's not like that during the Greek time because we can literally do anything. If you don't like the theater, you can just walk out, yeah, walk away. So again, this is the actual photo of the theater today, still there. And again, this is just another illustration of the terminologies referring to the theater. All right, so what about the special effects? They did have special effects, maybe even better than today theaters, or we never use a special effect in our own theater except for lighting or something else. But during the Greek time, there's a special effects. Um, Why? Because there were no curtains, there were no intermissions, no lights, no microphones. So to create a scene or spectacles, they have to do something to attract the audience. And so consequently, because of all these lacking, all scenes took place in daylight settings. All scene changes had to be built into the actor's dialogue. So when let's say one actor say that I'm going to this place, so it has to be spoken so that the audience understand, oh, he is moving to another place. And the actors and the chorus had to have a strong voices. So yeah, imagine talking to 20,000 people without microphone. So we call this, there's a term called Deus ex machina, which means God from the machine. It is actually a crane used to suspend characters who portrayed gods, because gods always can fly, and to create these flying effects, they use this god from the machine that will uh, lift the characters and then as if they are flying. And then there's also Akilema. It is a movable or revolving platform that can be put in and out of the stage. So this is how it is like. So on the left, we have the crane, and then this is the palace, and then the shrine of Artemis, and then you can see the characters who play God was hanged there with a rope, and this is the Duke Ex Machina, and this is Kilema. It's a movable platform where you can lie down, and then someone will just push you inside on the stage. And then let's talk about the actors themselves. Um, and this is what is interesting, because the term hypocrite that we know, munafik, yeah, actually was the name for actor. So we can now see the relation with why hypocrite or munafik means someone who can have two faces, correct? So that became, well, the term hypocrite before was actor, but now it became some terms that has a negative, it has negative aspect to it, right? If you say you're a hypocrite, then it means that you have two faces. But back then, it was the term used to refer to the actors. So there was only three actors before, and they wore masks and they can play multiple parts. So the actors at that time were much better than today, because they have to play more than one characters, and they can only three actors, and they wore masks to show that they are different characters, and they also have to have different tone or voices to distinguish what characters they are playing. And another fact is that all actors were men. Women were not allowed, because it was considered to be undignified for women to appear on stage. So all women cast or women characters were played by men, usually by younger men whose voice was still like children, and also maybe because they look slimmer. So all the actresses or the female part are played by young actors. And then actors also wore padded costumes, they wore wigs, high-heeled boots to make them taller and give them added dignity and power, especially when they were on stage, how to make them look bigger and powerful compared to the rest of the audience. And this is what they do through the costumes, wigs, and other props. And actors have to be able to speak in poetic language and also able to sing in a loud and clear voice. And we also have the chorus besides the actors. So actors are the main characters. The chorus is just backup characters that help forwarding the plot, because they were a group of people who sing. They sometimes also interacted with the actors. So they were literally a part of the play, but not uh, actors themselves. Yes, they just group of people like chorus. So it was led by a conductor, consisted of singers, dancer, who moved and sang together, acting as one character. So they just like this one cluster of characters acting as one person. And a choral ode was chanted or sung in unison. And originally, it was quite surprising that the number of them were 50 people. So many. There were only three actors, but it could be 50 chorus member. But then Sophocles, one of the Greek playwright, fixed the number at 15. So not too much, not too many people in the chorus. And what are the functions of these chorus besides singing and dancing? Um, well, of course, they created spectacles because they also wear costumes, and usually they were uniform, so pretty much the same, just like the illustration. They wore masks, so it's quite a spectacle if you consider like there are 20, 30 people coming into the stage in a uniform, and then they sang. Yeah, it created this kind of like different atmosphere. And also they set the mood or express the main themes of the play by commenting on the action. So let's say one characters came out and then they had to change clothes or wigs or whatever. So during that time, it is filled by the chorus, so the chorus can sing and just waiting for the actors to be ready, go back to the stage. And also they create a bridge, just like I said, between the actors and the audience. They also can converse and give advice to the actors. They also tell about events that already happened in the past. So just like the prologue, they provide us with the past story of what happened in the play. And also they can foretell the future by interpreting the actions of the actor. So these are the function of the chorus and their song. And what about the stories itself? What kind of stories are in a Greek play? So originally the stories were hymns and prayers, of course, because it was first meant to be praise, worship to the gods. So all the stories were related to their gods, and it was about praying, praising their god. That's why there are a lot of hymns and prayers, especially for Dionysius. But then over time, the content becomes more uh, human, not about God. So it's from the Greek gods changed into the legend of Greek leaders and then heroes. And then when we talk about the comedies, the stories were about common people, farmers, just like merchants, so not leaders or heroes. But in the tragedy, it's always leaders and heroes, never common people. All right, so that's the end of the first one. These words pronounced totelos. Yeah, it means the end in Greek. So check the second video to complete the first part of the introduction. All right, thank you.